Hello and welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. And today I'm sitting in the same spot, and today it's not about the whiskey of Sliabh Liag, but the gin of Sliabh Liag. And Sliabh Liag is actually kind of a coastline or region, a coastal region that has many cliffs and a lot of ocean, and that is important for the gin. And how that is important, let's find out and get inside the distillery. The botanicals, the ingredients for the gin, are very well thought after here at the distillery. And they do have 11 of them. And they are, I would say, really unconventional. They have 6 of them, which are, I would say, normal or conventional. The juniper, which by law has to be the most flavor-giving ingredient. Coriander, angelica root, cassia bark, orange peel, lemon peel. They are in a good recipe for a normal gin. But then we have 5 different kind of seaweeds that are local to this region. And they are very, very interesting. First of all, we have the doles. I have that actually here, which is also called the vegan jerky. And let's try it. Yeah, it's a bit salty, but I like it. Seaweed has a nice strength to it, like a savory taste to it. And then we go on with the sugar kelp. Sugar kelp we do know from other things. It's, I would say, more common. Even I knew that before. Then we have the carrageen moss. This is actually kind of a also medicinal, like a medicinal herb. Very well reception even in the local community here. Channel rack, that is easy to harvest, so the people here at the distillery actually do that themselves. The other ones, they have specialists for them harvesting these. So the channel rack, you can easily go out. And the last one, the pepper doles, is also called the truffle of the sea, which has a very nice and unique kind of flavor. But unfortunately it grows out further out into the sea on big rocks, and so you have to wait for the full moon, which gives you a spring tide, the tide goes in further, but it also goes out further. So these rocks are then exposed, not with water, not covered with water, and then they can harvest them. But they harvest them with scissors, so they can grow back more easily. And this one here was freezed, and it really has a umami flavor, peppery, savory kind of touch. So let's get on with the maceration. The maceration is actually inside the pot still. So all the seaweeds except for the jelly one, go into the pot, and then they fill it with neutral spirit and water. If they would go only with neutral spirit, it would dissolve unwanted flavors. You have to be a bit more gentle with all the seaweed. So they mix neutral grain spirit, 69%, yeah, roughly 100, 2 to 3 with water. With 500 liters, they then start gently distilling. The vapor rises, there's a reflux bowl, a lot of contact, very thin. And in the aroma basket, there's that one seaweed that is really jelly, and you have to then clean out the jelly in the end. And it goes into the condenser, it gets condensed, and this is the final product. But they realize that when they distill, and you distill first the high ABVs and then the ABVs lower, usually with a normal gin you just distill fully through and that's it. And here they actually do a cut. Only very few gins do a cut. They realize that after below 65%, they get a lot of bitterness from inside the botanicals. So what they do is they stop at 65, and that is actually waste. So from the 200 liters of neutral grain spirit, they can only use about 160, 65, somewhere around there. And yeah, that gives them much, much better quality. The still is called Meabh, and that is a Gaelic name for she who intoxicates. Yeah, fitting name for that still, because she is intoxicating with alcohol. Yeah, so this is the process. It's done in batches, so we do have a batch gin, and let's try it. So I'm sitting here with Moira Dohery. You're the gin queen, head distiller, And yeah, you know a lot about the seaweed, about the distillation. So thank you very much for having us here.
Thank you for coming to see us.
Yeah, I do love all of the gins, and I do love like the speciality you created, because I've seen a bit of seaweed until now, but I've not seen that much.
Right, okay.
So what are we having today?
So today we're trying Dúlamán, which is our magic of the sea. It's a gin that contains 11 botanicals. So you get the basic juniper, coriander, cassia, angelica, orange and lemon. That would make a lovely gin. But we have to make this into a Donegal gin. So by doing that, we add 5 seaweeds, which are all harvested locally along the shore here.
What I wanted to, I was not able to get onto it. The name Gaelic, is it? What does it mean? How do you pronounce it right?
So it's called Dúlamán.
Dúlamán.
Dúlamán. Dúlamán is how I pronounce it, which is a Zimbabwean version maybe. Dúlamán is the Irish name for one of our seaweeds, which is channel rack, which was harvested a lot during the famine.
Okay.
And people used to eat it then. And so that's the name we gave our gin.
Okay, so the Dúlamán, the channel rack is it like the main ingredient, or is it?
No, it's not. We have kelp and dulse, which is this one. So the initial idea happened in 2010 when we were collecting dulse on the shore at Macros with Jim's auntie. And locally people collect this and dry it and then eat it as a snack, like vegan jerky. And when we were collecting this, I said to James, could you make a gin with that? So while we lived in Hong Kong, I researched it and was working on it. And we started just with dulse because that's the one we knew. And then sugar kelp is another seaweed we use, which is used by a lot of companies that have seaweed gins. They might only have 1 or 2 seaweeds, and generally you have sugar kelp. It gives you a sweetness, but it's also like key lime when it's been distilled. It smells like tobacco almost when it's dried.
Okay.
This dulse is quite savoury.
Okay.
And then carrageen moss was the third one that we put with it, because carrageen moss is well known here. It's known also as Irish moss. And it's
moss because it's like
the way it looks, I guess, yeah. And it's a gelling agent.
Oh yeah, we had that.
Yeah, it can be used in desserts and things. We have to vapor infuse it because if you boil it up, you do get jelly, and we don't want jelly gin.
Wait, they cook it and make like a jelly, like a pudding or something?
Yeah, so panna cotta or something to make
Really?
it set, yeah.
And people collect it and do that, okay.
Yeah, but it's also used, if you're ill, it's a real superfood, and it's used for people with colds and things. When I was expecting our 4th child, Jim's auntie made me drink a lot of carrageen moss, and he was enormous. So I think it made him grow really big. Then the Dúlamán, we put it in because that's what the gin's called, Dúlamán, and it's kind of like bergamot oil. It's lovely when it's distilled.
Oh, yeah, was that the truffle of the sea?
No.
That's the other one. Okay.
The 5th one is the truffle of the sea, pepper dulse, and that's what gives our gin its magic. So there is another gin now that uses pepper dulse.
Okay.
They did ask us how to distill it, so. And it only grows about this high on the rocks.
Oh, okay.
But it grows right far out, so we have to wait till around the time of the full moon when the tides go out the furthest, and we follow the tide out and cut it with scissors so that it regrows.
But it doesn't have to be like during the night, full moon.
No,
it's just that you have to have a full moon.
It's dangerous enough, yeah. So you follow the tide out and then it chases you back again. So we can only collect what we can in that time.
So you can only walk out, like there's no other means of transportation or something?
No, because you're getting it off the rocks. So yeah, we will follow the water out and then follow it back again. Or James does, and I call him when the tide's coming back too quick. So
yeah, tide is actually a bit dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah. Okay. So all the botanicals are dried, apart from pepper dulse. If we dry it, it just disintegrates. It doesn't taste of much. So when we've picked it, we freeze it.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's our most important seaweed. All of the gins are batched according to when that seaweed, which full moon we collected the pepper dulse.
Oh, okay,
very
nice.
important.
So you got me really excited. This sounds like something really, really different. I'm excited about how that turns out.
So
okay.
it is clear, but however, sometimes you get a bit of a blue tinge when you put ice in. It can give you a little hint of blue.
Because of the seaweed, or?
Could be, yeah, could be. So we want
like it.
this to give you a kiss of the sea, remind you of being at the sea without being too fishy.
You do have like the juniper. It's still a gin,
Yes,
but
so, yeah, you
but
get-
it has a certain amount of marine flavor to it.
So it's quite gentle juniper. Yeah.
It's not a classical like high strength just juniper, but it's a gentle one. But I would still call it a gin because some gins I've tried was like juniper is a bit too.
You do need the juniper to
Yeah,
be
and but the thing is, I like what you had with the truffle of the sea, that savory, that a little bit of a umami,
Yes.
and a marine flavor in it.
Yeah.
Not quite sure if it's product of your husband, but a little bit smoky.
It's probably the whole environment is smoky around here.
Yeah.
I have made one little bit of gin on our trial, still using new make spirit for the neutral spirit.
Yeah. That's all. Sláinte. Oh, I like it. You also feel a little bit of the lemon, but it's it does have a bit of that umami style, and that is just. It feels like a bit of. It reminds me a bit more like food. It has a bit of a food touch to it when you eat something.
Yeah.
And also, the juniper, a little bit of tingling. And how many ABVs are we looking at?
43.2.
43.2. Yeah, it's very smooth as well, I would say.
Yes. Yeah. I think we distill with a low ABV in the still, and we distill gently, and I think that helps to give you the nice softness in your mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, there are few distilleries who do the like the cuts. Usually, you just get the botanicals in there and just bring it through everything. But I do like it when people try the cuts.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get the recipe?
Well, we went to a well-known supermarket and bought lots of very cheap vodka, which was a low ABV, and then we trialed about 20 seaweeds individually on the mini still at home.
They did a whole deconstruction.
Yeah, and then worked out which ones we liked and which ones we thought worked well together. And so we worked on that for a while. And when we put it into the Meabh, into the big still, the first distillation, we multiplied everything up equally, and we ended up with really citrusy gin, which we didn't like at all. And so we just went off the cuff because we had to make it because we were at an event the next day, and we just... And the second time it just worked. So actually, it was only the second turn on the still, but we had been about 6 months playing with the seaweeds, the basic recipe we kind of had with the other 6 botanicals. But it was just working out which of the...
So you started off with a really small still?
Yes, we have a little tiny still. It's just up there still, I think.
Okay.
And that's what we use for all the experimenting, yeah.
Nice. So the next one I've seen, it was sold to me like Navy strength, but it doesn't say Navy strength.
No, it doesn't. It says Armada strength.
Why is that?
So locally along the Irish coast, there are lots of wrecks from the Spanish Armada. And the one closest to here is called the Santa Ana.
Okay.
It's not far away at all. And so firstly, our bottle is this shape because it could have been on a ship. It wouldn't have fallen, when the ship rolling in the waves, you wouldn't have lost your gin. So it's
okay, that's why you have the
so
square
that's
shape.
why we have it like that. And then it's called Dúlamán Armada, Santa Ana Armada Strength Gin because its inspiration comes from the Armada. And the Santa Ana was the Armada ship, the Duquesa Santa Ana, that wrecked closest to us here. And the captain came from the Rioja region of Spain. So we take this gin and put it in a Rioja barrel for 3 months and then bottle it at 57%, which is Navy strength.
In the Rioja cask for a short period of time, I've heard that maturing juniper and oak is not well.
We have to keep an eye on it because you don't want sort of funky tasting whiskey. You still want it to be gin.
Yeah.
So, and this gives us a sort of a rose gold hue from being in the barrel.
I like it. I like the how high does it go?
57% this
57. Okay.
which is Navy strength standard.
Yes.
And then this, if you take this off and turn it up that way, it's like a map of Zimbabwe, which is where I'm from. So.
Okay. Yeah, put a lot of thought into that. This is all like batches and bottles as well?
Yes, this is batched. This is batched according to when it went into the barrel. The
Okay.
cask.
So when it went off the still into the barrel,
Into
okay?
the casks, yeah.
Nice. Okay. A Rioja is a Spanish wine, but it's not a sweet wine, is it?
Not too sweet, no.
No, I mean like one of these, sherry, PX.
No.
It's not a dessert wine. It's a real wine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I like it. It's strange because you have that seaweed feel, you have the juniper, but you have kind of like berries and more a wine
Fruitiness,
feeling,
yeah.
fruitiness in there. Oh, that's a wild bunch. That's a wild bunch you have in the glass. But I like it, and it's strong. I do like the Navy strength. There are rarely Navy strength out there on the market.
Yeah, this was the first Navy strength in Ireland, this one.
First Navy strength in
Yeah,
Ireland.
as far as we know, yeah.
Yeah, so
The
rare.
time,
rarely.
yeah, it's not. I think it's an acquired taste. Not everyone goes for it. It's a lot of alcohol. This makes
Yeah.
a brilliant Negroni. However, it's a lot of alcohol. An awful lot
Yeah,
of alcohol.
the thing is when you're an expert and you are interested in that, but gin is also a lot of newbies and mixers, fizzes and tonics and stuff.
This I would drink just with a really big chunk of ice in,
Okay.
so that it doesn't dilute it too quickly. That would be my preference. But
Wow, but it's not too strong. Queimada is strong, but not too strong. Oh, and it has a nice
a lovely-
sweet touch to it, and
and a nice fiery finish on it.
yeah, it combines well with the like umami and but it has for me it's kind of fresh and fruity with a lot of red fruit, I would say. And a little bit of that prickling around all
Yes.
over the juniper.
Which I like.
But
Yeah,
I think,
pretty
it's a bit dangerous because distillation is done well. It's very round. It doesn't feel like 57.
No.
It feels like more like 48 or something like that. So that is a bit dangerous. So yeah, keep a close watch on how much you pour in your glass.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said it does a well Negroni. So would you recommend like tonics or
Well,
not?
for Dúlamán, you can drink it just as a sipping gin with ice in.
Oh,
It
I
works
love it.
well for that. Otherwise, I would suggest if you're just making gin and tonic to use a tonic that's a bit more neutral rather than flavoured tonics. However, there are a lot of people who like elderflower tonic in it because it's more savoury. The elderflower adds a little bit of sweetness to the gin.
Okay, so it gives a bit of
A balance there.
in there.
It also makes a really good martini. And we have this thing where if you shuck an oyster and then eat the flesh out of the shell, but leave the liquor behind
Okay.
and pour Dúlamán into the shell,
Okay.
it's a really, really good dirty martini. So you need to try that at some point.
Oh yeah. Sounds cool.
And then my favourite way of drinking it is in an offbeat mojito. So just replace the rum with Dúlamán.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And this, like I said, it does make a good Negroni. So does that. They both do. However, I think neat with the big block of ice in is the way to go. But as long as people enjoy it, we don't mind how they enjoy it.
Yeah,
Whatever suits them.
it's a flavor thing that's kind of a personal thing.
Personal choice, yeah.
Yeah, personal choice. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It was a pleasure meeting you, and it was a pleasure. Thank you for all the information and all the background behind the nice gins you did. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. And if you like these gins and you want to buy them, have a look at Whisky.com, Whisky.de. And if you like this video, then feel free to share it with your friends. And thank you, and see you next time.